Just passed Al, but probably be the last time. I exchanged emails with him, so hopefully I'll get him some of those pictures. Great to see out here really enjoying the trail, and he moved. He got started today about 45 minutes before us. Gets up in about an hour, he's on the trail, and he moves. Travels light, his pack is really light, and he makes his time. We got a long day ahead of us. We got about 20 miles to do. This guy's moving, it's 8:15 now. And hopefully the last of the water is behind us, and we can just hike on dry territory. Maybe our shoes and our feet will begin to dry out a little bit. I'm not expecting that to happen until I can get my socks off and let them dry out, but it's gonna be a hard day, but a fun day, and this is a great trail, and I wouldn't mind doing it again. I definitely have some critiques of my performance in terms of equipment and things I would probably change. Not too much. Food-wise, I think I was almost spot on. Maybe even a little too light, surprisingly. I took a lot of food out that I normally would carry, and I went really light. And my food bag is actually empty today. All I have is snacks and everything just for the day. So I think I actually did a pretty good job packing. First time that's ever happened. I've never run out of food. I always come back with extra food. So, but the land is noticeably drier. We came out of Cyprus and on a canal, and we're kind of near residential areas, there's houses and stuff, but you can definitely tell that the terrain has changed to more solid ground, and the trees have changed. You have different pines, Australian pines, non-native species, and so it's a little drier, which is welcome. You know, really the mud is what I didn't like. The water slows you down, but it feels good on your feet when they're hot during the middle of the day. So here we are in Riverbend Park. It's a nice trail. It's got a good canopy of trees. We were able to make good time on it, and it's noticeably cooler than it was out there on the canal bank with the trees giving us some shade. So it's about 8:20 on Tuesday morning. This is our final day of the hike, and we're pushing out the miles, not going as fast as we like. The first part of the trail was all cypress swamp area, so it really slowed us down the first mile and a half, and now we're on canal and then in this park here, so we're hoping to make up some good time and get some miles in. So check back in later. Blend in. You know the video, it's hard to see. Yeah, you see the white tails. The other one ran off. He's not scared at all. Huh? He might be. Yeah, you know, as long as he's here, probably no one hunts him. family of 3. Yeah, they're great. Yeah. Here's the 4th one, and then the 5th one that we left back there. Yeah. And they're just grazing. You can see they're still eating. They're not even really that alarmed by our presence. Nice that they put dark water in it. Just a little fall. So we're about 9 miles in right now for the day. It's almost 11 o'clock. Been doing pretty good, well over 3 miles an hour. And we'll see if we stop for lunch or not. We took a break at Indiantown Road, went to the gas station there, 7-Eleven, and we got drinks and some food, and we hit the trail again. Run into Al again there. It's the last time we'll probably see Al, I imagine. So he was doing good. He was getting some drinks too. So it's probably about an hour and a half ago. And you can see the terrain's changed now. More sand and higher elevation. A little bit of mud every once in a while. But mostly it's higher elevation and more the different type of vegetation. So hopefully maybe we'll keep going until like Kitching or something like that, maybe break for lunch or take a short little break. So we'll keep up a really good pace. So we're pushing out the miles. Okay, we're at Hobbs Canal. Just when we thought we were done with water, come to this. I think so. It was worse before. It was it's not that strong. It's not that strong of a current though, but it's nice. That'd be a good water spot to get water though. Yeah, you can see horses have been coming through here, really chewing up this. But that was fun. Not happy to get my shoes wet again. Oh, Jonathan Dickinson, we made it. And once again, after Kitching, we come to mud. Most of us had changed to dry socks, cleaned our feet off, and our shoes were starting to dry out. And yet here we are, still about 7-8 miles from the end, and having to go through mud. Just a small section, but still. So. So we're just about to leave Jonathan Dickinson. It's been really brutal, really hot. A lot of open territory. Definitely need some water. We're all low. My water's just gone. AJ's water's gone. I don't know about some of the others. But we're about to come out on US 1. But you know, it takes full use of the park, so you kind of switch back a little bit. And the sand is just brutal. With it's hard to traction. And of course you have the reflected heat. Midday here. We're out here at the worst time of day pretty much. So, but we're almost done with the park. And we got a couple of miles left. Looking forward to finding a store maybe. We get some water and finishing up at the ocean. Take a picture for a second. And then we can take a picture. Hope you enjoyed that video that showed highlights and pictures from day 4 on the Ocean Lake Trail, or as I keep calling it, the Swamp to Shore Trail. On day 4, we started from Lucky Hammock campsite on the Oceans Lake Trail. I think I mistakenly called this Happy Hammock, and I think I was keep calling it Happy Hammock when we were hiking, but I looked it up and the name is actually Lucky Hammock. So hopefully I clear that up, that I was misusing the wrong name. So we started hiking at Lucky Hammock, and that's where we camped at day 3. On day 3, we realized we had a lot of mileage to do, and we had to hike approximately 20 miles that day. We decided that we would get an early start. We had agreed upon waking up at 6 a.m. and hopefully we would start hiking around 7. About 5:30 a.m., Al woke up. I saw the light go on in his tent and he started doing his routine and packing up. By 6 o'clock, everybody in the campsite was up and we were indeed packing up and doing our rituals in the morning, which includes obviously having breakfast, taking care of any personal needs, brushing teeth, as you see in the video, and packing up the campsite. Al started around 6:30 a.m. and probably around 7:10 or something like that, we completed our preparations and taking down the camp, and we started hiking. Right away we hit basically swampy areas, and it was probably around calf-high water, and they went like that for probably the next mile or so. After approximately 1 mile, we exited the swampy areas and walked onto a levee. And that levee, which goes along the Hungryland Slough Canal, was where we actually caught up with Al, who basically had an hour's head start on us. So it took us about an hour to catch up to him. And we walked with him probably for the next mile. And here's where we made our 2 mistakes on the trail. The first one was coming off the canal, and we followed what appeared to be the trail, if just looking at the worn path in the dirt, and it went into a private community or area. We realized really quickly, probably about 30-40 feet, that this wasn't the trail. As we walked with Al, we realized we were a little bit faster than him, and we decided to pick up our pace
And we did that as we walked back into the woods at a place called Riverdale Park. And being that we had a faster pace than Al, we basically said our goodbyes, thinking that this might be the last time we ran into him. It wasn't. And we entered Riverdale Park. And it was good there because after the heat and the open area of the basically canal bank and the levee, it was nice to get into the trees a little bit. Even though it was a little humid, it was at least sheltered from the sun, which was coming up, and the day was heating up pretty fast. We walked through Riverdale Park and ended up emerging onto another canal toward the Beeline Highway. So we ended up crossing under Indiantown Road and came out on the other side. The road parallels the trail for a little distance, and right where it veers off, there is a break in the trail and a pathway so that you can get onto Indiantown Road and head to a shopping center that's maybe a quarter mile off trail. And we took this opportunity, as you saw there, to get some nice cold drinks and a little bit of food. So we stopped a little early. It was probably around 9 a.m., 9:30 maybe at the most. I don't think it was that late. And we used that to replenish some of our supplies. Most of us bought food or candy, actually used the restroom if we needed to. But most importantly, we got some drinks that were, swamp water. So while we were at the convenience store at a 7-Eleven, oh, thank heaven, Al showed up and joined us. So we actually did see him one more time. Unfortunately, this was the last time we ended up seeing Al because we started hiking right after he arrived. He sat down and had a drink with us, and we started hiking back to the trail. And we joined the trail and stayed in the woods for a little while. And then quite noticeably, as we entered the end of the park, you could see the terrain was changing. It was becoming more sandy and scrub-like, open prairie area. And unfortunately, the trees and the open spaces were more common. Shade was intermittent to non-existent at the end, and the day really started heating up. The day rose to the mid-80s. Every once in a while, we would still end up going through some marshy areas and get our feet wet, which, while you hate getting them wet, it actually feels good on the feet. We crossed under the Florida Turnpike, again using an underpass where the trail goes, and we entered Jonathan Dickinson State Park at about 11:10 in the morning. The area began to change again. It changed from that sandy scrub-like to more slash pine, like prairie type terrain. But unfortunately, even though it was dirt, there were occasional spots where we would cross a creek and it was wet and we would get our shoes wet again, but there really was no shade and no break from the hot sun that day. We spent the next several miles crossing what are probably some of the least used or lesser known parts of the park on the west end, away from where most people that come into camp or use the park tend to go. As we walked through Jonathan Dickinson Park, occasionally there were a couple of boardwalks. Occasionally there were some wet spots where we would get our feet wet again, but mostly it turned from slash pine, dry prairie area to sandy, scrub, hot area. One of the breaks that we took there was at Kitchen Creek, where due to the water there were some pines grouped together, and we used that as a place to take a break because it had some shade. From there we pressed on. Water, we probably should have refilled water once or twice during the thing, but during the hike, water at this point became a concern as we really hadn't filtered water since we stopped at Indiantown Road and bought supplies. And by this time in Jonathan Dickinson, we were running low on water. I know AJ and I were out of water by the end of it. I had shared my water with him, and I believe Matthew, Stephen, and Joe also. And Joe had taken a lot of water. He probably had some left, but I'm sure he was low. So we were all getting a little parched, and I was looking forward to exiting the park and hoping to find a convenience store that we could stock up and get some water. And when we reached the sand dunes, matter of fact, there was one sand dune which was probably the highest part on the whole trail, and you could overlook the park and where you just hiked from. It was just a very hot, blowing wind. Never really cooled us down or helped us in any way because it was just so hot from passing over the sand and then reaching us. And as we exited the park, we began basically what became a road walk at that point on the side of the road and traffic. And then at this point, there were a couple of houses, and I was looking for a hose that we could get some water, and didn't really want to enter someone's house or property and get water. I noticed that there was an open auto mechanic shop, and I approached them and asked if we could use the bathroom or even if they had a hose to get some water. They were kind enough, they directed us to their waiting room where they had a cold, filtered water cooler there. AJ and I went in, we filled up and drank as much as we could, and then we filled up a 1 liter bottle each and we took it out and shared it with the rest of the group. So with water no longer being a concern, all we had left was to continue walking the next 1.5 miles, 2 miles to the ocean. When we reached Southeast Bridge Road, we turned down that road, and that was the final road that would lead us to the ocean. Along this walk, you're walking along a finely manicured street with lots of shade due to all the trees and the canopy that actually blocks the road from the sun, which was nice. I got a little concerned when we were walking toward there. I saw the bridge going up. There's a drawbridge that goes over the Intercoastal Waterway, and I was afraid we were going to get stuck by it. But luckily, just as we were reaching the bridge, it had come down and locked, and we were able to walk across. So there was no delay in our finishing. We all reached the shore, took our pictures. I believe everybody went into the surf so they could actually say they made it to the ocean, and we took our pictures. I attempted to video it, which I think you saw a little clip of it. You could hear how fierce the wind was at the end of the trail. Additionally, operator error, I'm assuming, but my camera was knocked over due to the wind, and I guess while sitting it upright, I shut the camera off where it stopped recording. So I missed what I would say was the money shot, which was all of us standing there in the water, finishing our hike. And I really regret missing that. That's the thing I am disappointed the most. However, I did get some shots of myself and of Matthew, and I have some of AJ and Joe, I think. And I don't think I have one of Steven, though. So we were all pretty happy. We went back up to the beach, called for our rides. We were traveling separately, and basically just waited around for our rides to come get us. We were all very happy about finishing this hike and completing it. It was a great hike. I had a great time. I would actually love to do this hike again at some other time. We did 20.7 miles in 8 hours and 37 minutes. And once again, according to the watch, I haven't done the math, so don't hold me on it. This works out to a 2.4 mile per hour average, including breaks. And if we just do the non-break sections, in other words, it computes when you're not moving and subtracts that time, we did an average of 3.2 miles per hour while we were walking. And if any of those numbers that I just quoted to you are correct, it's all due to Joe. Joe, once again, was mostly in the lead, kept the pace going, and kept the group moving on point so that we would finish the hike in a reasonable amount of time. Next week, I'll be doing a review of the hike, the whole trail, and my equipment and performance. So I hope you'll join me for that as well. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. If you like what I'm doing on this channel and you enjoyed these videos, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up, a like, and as always, please feel free to leave a comment below. Once again, thank you for taking time out and watching this video. Till we meet again.